Howdy, this is the Views from the Shop podcast. I'm your host, your one and only host, Tim Miller, and today it is Monday, June 1st, 2026, and I wish you a very, very, very happy National Heimlich Maneuver Day. Well, on today's show, we are kicking off the 2026 Summer Guest Series with the head ball coach, Jake Diebler. He joins the show today. What are we talking about today? We'll talk about how his knee is progressing. That's very important. He's going to give you his thoughts on all the transfer portal players that have come into Ohio State. He's going to talk about life in the portal, day to day. What does that first week really look like for him? We're going to talk about Bruce Thornton, that shot he made against Indiana to break the scoring record. Was it the loudest the shot has ever been? And we'll get into a big question for Ohio State fans. Why does Ohio State and Jake Diebler not employ a general manager? That and a whole lot more, including thoughts on how he uses football for recruiting, his relationship with Ryan Day, how basketball, being a strong program, can help the football program as well, and a whole lot more. So make sure you're locked in. It's a great conversation here, about 40 minutes or so of content coming up to you. It's a one-on-one sit-down with myself and head coach Jake Diebler to start the Summer Guest Series. I will give you a peek behind the curtain. When it comes to the Summer Guest Series, it's not just Jake joining the show. It's going to be assistant coaches like Luke Simons and Brian Walsh. It's going to be former players like Joey Lane, Ron Lewis, Scooney Penn, and many more that we're working on right now, getting locked in as well. I won't give those names publicly. It's on the Substack if you want to see it. It's a free article as well. And then current players as well, set to join the Summer Guest Series for 2026. The whole goal with this is to show you a peek behind the curtain, what's going on with Ohio State basketball, tell stories, give you the chance to get to know these guys outside of the hardwood, essentially, outside of being out there on the floor a couple times a week for you for 40 minutes. So that's the whole point of the Summer Guest Series. I hope you're subscribed. Please like the video if you're watching on YouTube. That helps greatly. Drop a comment as well to let me know your thoughts on the conversation with Coach Diebler. If you're listening on pod, please give a 5-star review. Allows fans to know the show doesn't suck. And if you do think it sucks, please don't leave any review whatsoever, because I don't want anything less than 5 stars, and that's me being as biased as I need to be at this point. One other quick note. Hey, technical difficulties. We had to restart the show after about 2 minutes. My mic stopped working. I'm using my mic now. Guess what? During the show, I get to use my stupid laptop mic because for the conversation with the head ball coach, of course my mic doesn't work for the first time ever. So apologies for that. It won't sound the greatest, but it'll sound okay. Hey, one other thing, viewsfromtheshoppodcast.substack.com. It's linked everywhere this episode is going. Go there, sign up for completely free. Posted a bunch of articles. I don't know where it is. I posted a bunch of articles today on coaching changes. William Buford joining Ohio State. Dave Richardson officially announced at Ohio State. Jamal Walker gets promoted. That and a whole lot more. It is your year-round source for Ohio State basketball exclusive content only. That's Views from the Shop podcast.substack.com. You can sign up for completely free or join the insider subscriber chat there. What you can do, and you'll see in this show, you can ask questions to special guests. Of course, you get insider intel, scoops, things like that, behind the scenes stuff that you'll get. But a big part of that right now for the Summer Guest Series is I'm taking questions from insider subscribers, slapping it on the show as well. So thanks so much for being here. Really excited for the Summer Guest Series. Cannot wait. We're going to kick it off with Jake Diebler. Here's the conversation with myself and Jake Diebler. It's the 2026 Summer Guest Series on the Views from the Shot podcast. Jake Diebler, after one technical difficulty, joins the Views from the Shot podcast, and it was my fault, not his. Welcome. First question, answered again. How's the knee?
Knee's good. I didn't quite stay as disciplined as I needed to this springtime. There were some more pressing matters to attend to than my knee recovery, but no surgery. Excited to get back on the court here soon. Need to get ready for the manager games that are coming in the fall.
So when this initially happened and you were collided into, I believe was the story, like, did you know,
you got all
I'm
the
in trouble? I mean that was on TV. That was no
Oh,
scoopage
okay.
out of me.
All right.
I think that was said on a TV broadcast. But so when it happened, were you like, oh man, like this is bad, this is serious? We're like, just like, ouch, that hurt. Where did you fall on that spectrum?
Yeah, so I had turned my back. I was standing up near half court. I had turned my back to talk to one of the players and coach one of the players while play was restarting. And Bruce Thornton dove for a loose ball, and my knee caught the brunt of that. When it first happened, it felt really bad. I thought it was really bad. I never had knee injuries. I've had a lot of other injury issues, no knee problems till now. And so before I could even get looked at, because I wanted to, obviously finish practice, our trainer had already called our team doctor, and he was on his way because he thought it was really, really bad. So thankfully, praise God, wasn't anything worse than a MCL tear, and we were able to keep it moving.
So this is one question I had too. Like, there was video, I think, early this offseason of Iowa head coach Ben McCollum kind of getting in after it with his team as well. Are you able to hoop pretty well? Like, can you keep up with the players at this point? Where do you fall in terms of your own ability to stay with the team?
The more up and down it goes with the team, probably the harder for me. A little more half court when it comes to playing with the team. And I got to see, we got a lot of new faces, so hopefully they're far beyond my ability to get out there. But I do like to play with our managers and staff. I like to get out there and hoop a little bit. So I got to get ready for that because that picks up more in the fall.
Shout out a manager. Who's the best basketball player of the managers you've got?
Well, we got a new group coming in. I would say due to his experience and versatility, I'm gonna say Dylan Scott.
Okay.
He can score from all three levels. He's got a good physicality to his game, and he's really got great touch in kind of that floater area, because we got a lot of rim protection on the floor when we play, so he's got to be able to score over that.
Dylan Scott, heard it here first on Views from the Shot podcast. Dylan, I don't know where you are, but you just got some big ups from Jake Diebler. All right, I want you to take me through Monday morning. The transfer portal opens April 5th, something like that. As much as you can remember, can you please take me through, because fans love the behind the scenes, take me through, my alarm has gone off, I'm waking up to the end of that first day. Take me through phone calls, Zoom calls, when you get to eat, all those types of things. Help fans really understand how tough of a gig this is, at least on that day.
Well, I think it's really the first few days, right? Because there's only so much time in a day. So what you're doing is you're setting up Zoom calls and phone conversations, and you have all the different angles. Every assistant coach is working on positioning us, for those conversations to happen when the portal opens. And so it's just constant communication for those first few days, making sure that we get a chance to get in front of the right guys. The great thing I thought was good this year is retention conversations got to happen in a better way because there was a longer window for when the season was over to when the portal opened by the portal being moved back, and I think that was healthy for the sport. Those we didn't have to have one or two like some of our conversations with retention drug out a little bit longer because I wanted to be really transparent with guys, and we were able to have some back and forth. I thought that was good. So season ends, retention is a major focus. You're also building a base of an understanding of what's going to be available and who's going to be available in the portal. But once that portal opens up, it's nonstop communication, kind of morning through the night, and it's really 2 or 3 days of that until you get a feel for who's coming in to visit and things like that.
So when in that first week, when your day starts, what time does it start? What time does it end? And how many free hours do you actually have in those days?
It starts really, really early, ends really, really late. I think the bulk of the conversations, if you're saying what's worse, morning or night is more busy, especially when you start to consider West Coast, right? And then you're also for international either agents or parents or players, that's heavy in the morning. So it almost kind of shifts throughout the day of what region you're targeting. But they're both really big. It starts really early, ends really late. That's life in the spring. So it's kind of perks of the job.
How do you stay focused? I mean, you've got your conversations you're handling. I don't know. I mean, maybe there's other coaches in the room with you. Maybe other coaches are out having their own conversations. How do you guys transfer information from one to another across the staff about, hey, this player is asking for this much and this agent's saying this and we're involved with this guy with these other schools? Like, how do you guys just sit down and in real time be able to transfer this information so you're communicating truthfully to your prospects, but also trying to stack the roster in the way that you want it to look?
Well, collaboration's key, and that's one thing we do on our staff is we collaborate and we work together. Information is critical, and we've got great experience on our staff and their ability to gather real information, because there's a lot of information out there, but you want real information, and you got to have an ability to be direct and certainly keep conversations moving along quickly, because everything happens so fast in the spring. So I love the experience of our staff. That collaboration, though, is critical, the constant communication and updates. And every time you're in between really conversations with families, players, or agents, you're in between that time you're talking to the staff, right? And we kind of huddled up, when we were here in the office, we huddled up in the conference room and, had our big board and just we're working through those conversations regularly.
Do you guys call the conference room the war room?
No, we haven't named it, but you could certainly call it that. We'll give you, if we decide to do that, we'll give you credit for that.
I would appreciate that. I would prefer you name it like the Tim Miller War Room or the Views from the Shot War Room. That would be great.
That might be pushing it, but the War Room was under consideration.
I guess beggars can't be choosers. If it's known privately, then that works for me. So take me through this last season. You guys make the NCAA tournament for the first time in 4 years. That's huge. What are you most proud of last season in terms of your own personal achievements, what the team did, leadership, stuff like that? What do you look back on and you tip your cap to from last year?
Well, I think I'm most proud of the way we played down the stretch of the season. We had our fair share of adversity this year with injuries, and our depth was an issue for us throughout the season. So for us to be playing our best ball down the stretch and really just remove ourselves from bubble conversation was good. It was a good step forward. Disappointed in the first half we played in the NCAA tournament. I think when you look at that game, not having a single player who played in that game had played in the NCAA tournament before, it showed in the beginning of the game, and we responded much better in the second half. I think our depth again became a little bit of an issue when we had to fight so hard to come back, as far as finishing the game. And we saw that throughout the course of the season with some of the minutes guys were logging. But I'm proud of the way we played down the stretch of the season. And it was great. Part of the reason was because we were healthier. I think that played a role. But it was an important step for us as a program. Like we needed to make that step. And we did. And there's a lot of hard work and that goes into that, and in what is the best league in the country, top to bottom. Like this is the best league. This is not the traditional Big Ten. Like every team is spending money in NIL. Every team has good players. Every team's well coached. Like this is the best league in the country. And so for us to do what we did down the stretch in league play was important for us to help get us in the NCAA tournament. And it was a good step, but like we kind of approached this off season, and I've said this, we're not satisfied with this. Is not the end goal. We need to find ways to raise our level. That's how we approached our roster construction. It's how we approached hiring. Was how do we raise our level? And I feel like we've positioned ourselves to do that.
So I was pretty clear in my opinion that this team is turning a corner at a specific spot in the year where, from an outsider's perspective, you'd say you're crazy to say that. Was there ever a time for you down the stretch of the season where you said internally it feels like things are starting to move in the right direction, or was it simply we're feeling healthy and that's going to be a big part of it?
No, I think the game at Iowa was an important game for us. We didn't play near what we were capable of, but that was an important, I think, marker to where we really took our game up a level. There were some games previous. I think the game against UCLA was an important one for us. USC at home was important. And then, Iowa and being able to just kind of come out of that game and beat Purdue. And then, the way we played down the stretch was important. And, I thought whether it was at Michigan State or even in the Big Ten tournament, I thought we showed more what we were capable of. Certainly having more guys available was part of that. But being in position when those opportunities, came in front of us was also really important. And so, it was a hard year. I think when you consider some of the guys, not only who were in and out of games, but also just unable to practice with any type of consistency. Then, we added a player mid-season, and there was just a lot of moving parts. But I thought our team really stayed connected and we're together. And that's why, we were able to go like this at the end of the season when a lot of teams started to go like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I specifically said it was the stretch of, it would have been Virginia, Wisconsin, Michigan State. Those 3 games, you went 1-2, but it felt like you could really start to see, especially once a team gets healthy, especially once you get John Mulvey Jr. back, things like that. It felt like you could see where things were really going on the right trajectory. And then you get into the NCAA tournament. Obviously, it's tough because at a program like Ohio State, just getting to the tournament is not enough. And obviously, you're the first to say that. But it's still a stepping stone. You got to get back into the big dance. Take me through in that game against TCU, the first half. Use words that I've never heard before. I don't care how specific you want to get. But take me through what went wrong in that first half. What adjustments did you make in the second half to nearly pull off a big-time comeback victory in that first round?
Well, I think to your point, when you look at that stretch of games you referenced and really the rest of those finishing out the season, aside from the game against Iowa, our execution was really good on both sides of the ball, except that first half. I wish I could tell you there was this epiphany at halftime that we completely changed what our game plan was and made, like, we had to tweak some things certainly, but the bulk of the conversation was reminding our guys of the game plan heading into the game and just the fact that we needed to execute it much better and give that a chance. We didn't execute at the level we had, and I think that was the most frustrating thing for me, was we didn't execute the level we had for a significant stretch at the end of the season in that moment. Again, our guys responded to a pointed conversation at halftime in a big way, which they had shown an ability to do. Wish we could have fixed that and kind of got that back earlier in the first half, so we didn't have to dig ourselves out of such a big hole. But I thought our resiliency that this team had all season was on display. Our execution that we had showed down the stretch was on display at a high level in the second half. So, yeah, disappointed because I felt like that was a game that we could have won. Disappointed we didn't, but I think that was, again, that was a new experience for every single player who had played in that game, and I thought we played like it at times in the first half. Second half was more like who we had been, and we showed what we were capable of.
So one other moment this year that I think of, I think anyone associated with Ohio State, you're proud of this moment. Bruce Thornton hitting a 3 to set their all-time scoring record at Ohio State. Take me through as he's crossing half court. Did you think, Bruce is going to pull? Because Bruce Thornton is not the type to go really attack. Like, he's willing to let the game come to him. He's willing. In that Indiana game, I mean, they were attacking him on pick and roll, and he was getting nothing. He said, okay, fine. I'll pass to John Mulvey Jr., I'll get it to Amari. I'll pile up the assists. That's okay with me. So as he passed half court, did you think, I think he might pull up from here? Take me through that.
Yeah, I think there was an opportunity for a 2-for-1 situation there as well. So I remember kind of yelling at him as he was going past me, like, hunt it, be aggressive. And Bruce was great because you could trust him to do the right thing. And, there were a lot of times during this season that I had to remind him to be more aggressive. And so we saw, especially in the second half of the season, teams commit to his ball screens and try to take the ball out of his hands. And we got better attacking that as the season went on. But, when he took that, I didn't realize that shot was the shot to do it. I was more looking at time, score, seeing if we had a 2-for-1 opportunity, or at least a way to create a 2-for-1 opportunity later in the half. It was just, there was a lot of factors happening there, and so when he shot it and made it, I didn't know, and then I kind of, figured it out based on the reaction. Mm-hmm. But it was a pretty special moment for him, and it was an unbelievable atmosphere in that game. It's the first time I think that the shot has been like that in a really long time. And, that was an important game for us. Great atmosphere, great way to end our home slate and create some momentum heading into next season.
So the loudest I can remember the shot, there's two moments. There was that moment, and then it was the blowout home victory over Michigan couple years ago. I don't remember if you had taken over as interim at that point or not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's those two moments. Was the Bruce Thornton, that three, was that the loudest you've heard the shot? I mean, you've been around the shot for many, many years at this point.
That was the loudest I had heard the shot since my brother's senior night. That team was the best team in the country, and there was a payback game against Wisconsin. Wisconsin was the one team to beat them earlier in February. And there were some things said in the post game that when Wisconsin won at Wisconsin, so they had these towels that had deal with it that the student section was hosting. And that was that game was that atmosphere was different. Indiana game for us this past year was like that. It was different. We've had some great atmospheres in here in between those games. I think the one you referenced was a great one, certainly. The Purdue games that we've had the last couple of years, big-time atmospheres. But those two were different, and two of the best I think this building's seen.
So complete 180 here, not even 180. We're just turning in a completely different direction now at this point. To your strategy. A lot of fans have talked about this during the offseason of, look, you've got a first-time head coach. He's kind of growing into the role, some would say, and you're leading this program into a better direction. I mean, that is objectively true. There's still questions about why does Ohio State not have a general manager? That's what a lot of fans talk about. So speak to the fans. Why does Ohio State not have a general manager at this point?
Yeah, well, I think, when you look at the landscape of college basketball, that position at different spots that have chose to go that route has meant different things. The big thing that we needed this offseason was in the space of contracts and, being able to navigate that specific side of building a roster better. And we've utilized Ohio State's internal group to do that and to help support our program. We didn't do that necessarily the previous year at the level we did this year. I think the collaborative nature that we used this offseason in building a roster essentially served as a front office team, so to speak. Like you saw everybody working together, pooling together all their talents and connections and experience into one room. And we all ultimately, right, were able to come to some conclusions on what directions we needed to move as far as roster construction. So that's why, we haven't targeted a specific position on staff to say like, hey, your sole responsibility is to do these things. I do think in hiring Mike Wells, he's got some experience in assembling a team in the professional ranks and serving as like a GM at times, building a roster, and did it at a championship quality, leading his team to the finals this past season. So adding him was important and will help in that space as well. But, so much of it is agent relationships. And we shifted this year and approached portal recruiting earlier. We started evaluating potential targets that fit us more specifically. So I think like high school, portal recruiting is a year-round thing now. We didn't approach it necessarily that way in year one, but we approached it more that way in year two, and being able to identify, who might be transferring, or at least the type of players that we need to bring in to help, again, build around our retention. And so that was our approach, and I love where our roster's at. We're not finished yet. We gotta put the finishing touches on it, which we'll be doing here soon. But I love where we're at. We're bigger. We have more versatility. We're bigger both in the front court and the back court. We got more positional size. We're deeper than we've been in our previous 2 years, and I think that's going to allow us to play a little bit different. It's going to allow us to, it's going to cover up some of the issues we had in the previous 2 seasons. And so I love where our roster's at. There's so much of this now. NIL plays such a significant role in your ability to put a roster together. And I feel like this is the best we've been in with what we've been able to work with in putting a roster together that's going to position us to have a great season. So that's part of the equation, right? Now we got to get on the court. Now we got to build the system, and we have to get guys to play together. We have a lot of newness on this roster, and I think that stuff's going to be critical moving forward. But we had to put a good group together, and I feel like we did that.
So you mentioned a lot of these, or just the structure of the team. You can spend 10, 15 seconds on each of these guys. Just give me rapid fire. Let's start with Jimmy Williams. What does Jimmy Williams bring to Ohio State?
Yeah, he's tough. He's tough. Proven productive player. Two-way player, plays both offensive and defensively well. He's got good steal numbers. And I think he gives us an ability to play 3 perimeter players more, but also can play, if we want to play bigger, kind of that 3 and that wing spot. So his versatility's great. Love that he's from Ohio. Love that he loves Ohio State. And when you look at his story, as you learn more about his story, I think our fans are going to love him, how tough he is, how hard he plays.
We're working to get Jimmy on the show. FYI, fans, we'll do what we can.
See if
there.
I can help you with that a little bit.
That would be awesome. We'd appreciate that. Curtis Givens III.
Yeah, another again, bigger. If you see the theme, we have bigger two-way players on the perimeter. I thought Curtis made a good jump from freshman to sophomore year, and we're expecting him to make a good jump again this offseason in our player development. I think his ability to play both perimeter spots, at kind of a combo guard, is important. He can play make for others. He can play make for himself. He can score it at multiple levels. So, and again, another guy who is a good two-way player.
Andrea Jelovich.
Yeah, he was really important for us because when we went into the portal to add to our front court, we wanted someone who could play both forward positions, be quote unquote the 5 or the center, but also slide to the power forward spot. It's hard to find people who can do that, and to find someone who fits around Amari Bynum, but also can play with Josh and Yvonne was important. So we had a very specific player we were looking for in that spot, and he fits that. So excited. Kentucky didn't use him in that manner, so I think there's a lot of untapped potential there, and also being year 2 here playing college basketball, because he's talented. He's 6'11", 235. There's a lot of tools that I think are going to help our team, and his ability to be versatile with that size is important.
Justin Pippen.
Known the Pippen family for a long time. Recruited his brother to Vanderbilt. Didn't get to coach him, but obviously got to know the family really well. I love Justin's two-way play. He had great steal numbers at Cal. Was a really productive player, rebounds, assists, points. Got to help him get better with his efficiency. He and I have talked about that. That's going to be important this offseason. We've proven as a program over the last couple of years to really be able to help players with that, so we're confident in that. Really smart, excited about his ability, again, to play both perimeter spots.
we haven't spoken about the returners. John Mobley Jr., Mari Bynum, obviously kind of being the big names. We always talk about the freshmen. We talk about the portal players. For some reason, the guys seen as, potentially the best on the team don't get as much love during the offseason. So let's do the same thing for Amari Bynum.
Yeah, I think to your point, it's part of the issue with the springtime is those guys almost get forgotten about. And I tell people all the time, and they're like, "Oh, the portal." I said, "Yeah, but who are you retaining?" And if John or Amari went into the portal, they'd be considered some of the best players in the portal. So we're fortunate that those guys are back, and both of them are motivated to. We've got a taste of success, and both of them are motivated to take it to another level, and believe in our player development, and want to compete for a championship here. So I think they're a great foundation for us to build the roster. Amari showed tremendous growth throughout the course of the season. And I thought the consistency that he operated with daily was a big reason why we saw those strides and that growth. He played his best ball down the stretch, and I think that's a sign of great things to come. He knows that this is going to be a really important offseason for him because he's got to take a step forward as being a focal point for us. But he's built for it, and so I'm excited about the growth he's shown already this spring, but can't wait to see where he is at the end of the summer.
And let's hear about John Mobley Jr. What do you see for him?
Yeah, went through the draft process this spring, was great. We got some feedback that was it validated the conversations we had with him as a staff, and that he and I had directly on things he needed to work on. Certainly to help our team, but also to help him for his future. And I think he's got a chance to be one of the absolute best guards in the conference. He's going to shift now, right? He's going to be, and not that he wasn't, because some teams did try to take him away last year, but he's certainly going to have all eyes on him from the opposing scouts, and we got to get ready for that. We got to get ready for that. But to have a proven all-conference player, returning is a big deal. It's a really big deal, and he and Amari got to work together alongside me to help, solidify, because you can't just rest on what was done last year. You got to kind of re-solidify your foundation culturally. Those guys will play an important role in that, and then we can build it up from there. So both those guys got to take a step in the leadership role this year, which I think they're ready for.
All right, we got some questions from some insider subscribers here that I want to hit on as well. This comes from Marky Mark 1969. Is there any interest in scheduling games against Cincinnati, Dayton, Xavier, or some other type of in-state event involving some of those teams? What's the feasibility in something like that happening?
Yeah, absolutely interest, and something that I've spent a lot of time on my first 2 years here as a head coach at Ohio State. So those conversations have been ongoing for well over 2 years and haven't stopped. I think that's the encouraging thing. So, when is it going to finally come to fruition? Hopefully soon. But, we're absolutely working towards something like that, or, considering home and home series or neutral site. Like, all of that is always a consideration for us. I think the reason for that, from my perspective, is I think it's great for the state of Ohio and the basketball community here.
Another question from Zilla. If you were going on a road trip, you were the driver, I don't know why that's relevant, but it is to Zilla, what's your go-to gas station get, snack and a beverage?
That's a really interesting question. I have a little bit of a sweet tooth, so I'm a big fan of Airhead Bites, and probably just a good bottle of water. That would be my. I feel like the healthiness of the water cancels out the unhealthiness of my snack choice. Is that fair to say?
You'd have to ask Dave Richardson on that one. Last question I'll take you on here from Insider Subscriber. This comes from Jeremy or something like that. What's the funniest or best thing you've heard a Buckeye fan yell at an opposing team, player, coach before? I don't know how in tune you are with what people are yelling as you're obviously coaching. Anything come to mind?
I don't really have a great feel to answer this. I will say this, though. We added we obviously made a lot of changes to the shot this past season. New floor, which I thought looked great. What did you think of the new floor?
So I will say, when it was first released, I was like, I think this could give me a headache. The gray may hurt my eyes. Seeing it on TV, I thought it looked great. So initially, I will say, I did come on the podcast and say, I don't know, guys. I don't know. But once you guys played on it, I said, okay, I'm good. My eyes don't hurt.
All right, good. So new floor was great, and being able to change the center, I thought was awesome
Yes.
as well. Great by our team. We also added some seats, right, on the floor in between the benches and the scoreboard. And I will say this: I won't say any names, but I did have an official come over to me and during this was in like the first 4 minutes of a game, and was like, "Hey, are these guys over here important? Because if they are, you need to tell them to be quiet." And I was like, I hadn't heard anything crazy being said, but apparently something was said that one of the officials didn't like. But outside of that, I don't really hear what's going on from the stands.
At least answer, were these people important?
Yeah, they were important. Listen,
Wow.
everybody who's in there that has a Buckeye gear on is important at home.
Oh, okay.
But those guys, that we get on the floor, they're important too. Yeah, no question.
Okay, gotcha. Coach, I've held you over time already. If you've got time for a couple more questions, I'd love to ask them. If not, all right. So here's what I want to do, okay? I want to talk a little football because the Ohio State University, the Block O, a lot of it has to do with football, right? So take me through. How are you using football to recruit on the basketball side?
Well, I've said this, and first off, I'm a big Ohio State football and Ryan Day fan, and I've been fortunate enough to he and Coach Mick have let me come over there and sit in on some of their meetings and watch what they do, and so I root for the Buckeyes. I want them to win a national championship this year just as much as anybody else. I also think when you start to look at, because we still talk about in our program the power of Ohio State, its ability to be influential long after your basketball career is over. A lot of people think that's not important to recruits anymore. I still think it is important to a lot of them. So, and we target those guys because it does matter. But there's not a better display than a home football Saturday for recruits and their families to see the power, the passion of Buckeye Nation in Ohio State. So we absolutely utilize those weekends in recruiting. I wish, selfishly, I wish we could use it for portal guys in the spring. We brought guys to spring game. I think it's the best example of how great our fans are, how powerful our fan base is. You can't beat it. And then, being able to, the one thing I wish I could do is watch the game more. I'm honestly, like I said, I'm a huge fan of Coach Day and that program, and I can't wait to get over and watch them practice. It's going to be an exciting season for them, and I've know some of their guys on staff, and I think we have a real working relationship, which is really cool.
So word on the street is Ryan can play a little bit of tennis. Have you ever played tennis with Ryan Day?
I haven't, and I would be that would not be something I should probably do with them because I would slow them down. Tennis is not a. I would play hard, Tim. I would I'm not afraid to dive for a ball if it meant to save a point or win a match, but that's not a sport that I think I would be very good at. I would just slow him down, so I'm gonna leave that for him.
All right. Last question on the football side. How do you see a successful basketball program? Because look, we know what the fan base is. They love their football, right? How can a successful basketball program help elevate the entire university and, of course, the relationship between basketball and football?
Well, I think one of the best things about Ohio State is it's an everything sport school, and we have great fans who follow Ohio State football and Ohio State basketball. But I also think, when I go to other events on campus, whether it's baseball, and you look at what, Justin's done this year and kind of, from year one to year two, the jump they made, or you go over and you watch soccer, Coach Ryan and wrestling. We get great support all over campus, and this is an everything department. I think certainly football and men's basketball, serve as a flagship for those because of the visibility, of those two programs on a national scale. But there's no reason that you can't be great at everything here at Ohio State. It's the pathway to doing that has changed. It's not what it used to be 5 years ago, let alone 10 or 15 or 25 years ago. So, under Ross's leadership, I think we are, staying cutting edge in a landscape, at least specifically now where you talk basketball, but also college athletics as a whole, a landscape that is evolving almost by the day, right? It's certainly by the year. And he's come in, taken off from where, Gene Smith laid an unbelievable foundation for him, but he's come in and pushed the envelope to help us be competitive in everything. And so thankful for his leadership, but absolutely, I think we can be great at both football and basketball here. It's the pathway to doing that is different than what it used to be, but we got to find a way to do it within those parameters that we have here at Ohio State.
I've got 5 quick hitters to end the show, some fun ones like last year. Should we say them for next time, or would you?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Let's fire away.
I love this. All right. So, first one. Players a lot of times have a pregame meal or snack. Is that the same for you as a coach? You have something you got to go to?
Yeah, I like Subway.
Okay.
What do you as a player? I still do it as a coach. Big fan of Subway.
Okay. Pregame hype music. Is that something you're into as well?
Yeah, I would say that. I like an interesting blend of worship music at times of the day, and then some hip hop or rap that's a little more old school than new school.
Okay, got to get you centered, and also got to get you fired up too. Who's most likely on the team to cause you guys to be late to take off to the West Coast?
That's to be determined.
Okay.
I think.
So of the guys you currently have,
that return from last year?
Yeah, either players or coaches, it doesn't matter.
Josh.
Ojawana?
Yeah. Yep.
Is that how you say it? Is that how would you rate that?
It's hard for me to say it on record because I don't want to screw it up, but that was pretty good.
Thanks. Who's your favorite Buckeye that you've ever watched? Other than your brother and all the guys who are currently on staff. We're not doing who Jones my favorite.
Talking basketball, right?
Sure, basketball, baseball, lacrosse, field hockey. If you have a favorite field hockey athlete, that's good with me.
I think David Lighty.
Okay. David Lighty is my number one as well, so we have something in common there. Alrighty. Well, Coach, that's all I got. I mean, it's not all I got, but it's all I got for now. I've kept you well longer than we initially planned. I appreciate you being here today. Send us off with this. What's your message to Buckeye Nation for 2026?
I think, appreciate the support we had, especially down the stretch last season. And, let's take that up a level too next year. We finished well. As far as atmosphere and things went in the shot, let's kick it off from the jump. We're going to add, we're not ready to formally announce this yet, but we're going to add another high major home game to the non-conference slate. We'll have another really tough non-conference schedule, playing in some high-profile games. But this team, our fans, you're going to love this team. You're going to love how hard they play. I think you're going to love how well they play together. And, we're going to be able to do some things differently this year. So let's all do our part to help take this thing up to the next level.
Coach Diebler, appreciate the time. Thanks so much for being here.
Tim, appreciate it, man. Have a good one. Go Bucks.